Have you ever walked into a room and felt your energy collapse for no visible reason? Or stood beside someone who said nothing, yet somehow drained the life out of you? Most people believe power is something external: money, status, influence, control. But the ancient traditions spoke of another kind of power entirely: a silent force hidden beneath thought, emotion, and identity itself. A force so natural that children possess it instinctively, yet most adults spend their entire lives disconnected from it. The mystics of Egypt called it the hidden fire. Taoist sages described it as the original current. Hermetic teachings referred to it as the living essence flowing between worlds. And according to these traditions, the greatest tragedy is not that humanity lacks power, but that it has forgotten where to look for it. Because your inner power is not something you must create. It is something buried beneath noise, buried beneath distraction, buried beneath fear, buried beneath the endless conditioning of modern life that keeps your attention scattered in every direction except inward. Imagine a lake during a violent storm. The surface becomes distorted, chaotic, impossible to see through. But beneath the turbulence, the water itself remains untouched, still, clear, silent. Your mind is the storm. Your true energy is the depth beneath it. And the moment you learn to reconnect with that depth, something extraordinary begins to happen. Your presence changes. Your thoughts become sharper. Your emotions stop controlling you. You begin sensing things before they happen. You stop chasing energy from the world because you become a source of it. In this video, we are going to explore the first steps in awakening your inner power, not through complicated rituals or fantasy, but through ancient and practical techniques designed to restore your connection to your natural energy. You will discover why most people unknowingly leak their power every single day, how silence can become a doorway to heightened awareness, why attention itself is a form of energy, in the simple practices that can begin transforming your inner state almost immediately. But be warned, once you begin noticing your energy, you will never experience the world the same way again. Thousands of years before modern psychology attempted to map the mind, ancient civilizations were already exploring something far more mysterious: the hidden mechanics of human energy. To the modern world, these teachings often appear symbolic, poetic, or mythological, but beneath the metaphors was a consistent message, repeated across cultures separated by oceans and centuries. Human beings possess an inner force capable of transformation, perception, healing, and profound awareness. The Egyptians encoded this idea into their temple initiations, where the journey inward was considered more important than conquering kingdoms outwardly. The initiate was taught that chaos in the external world reflected disorder within the self. To master one's energy was to become aligned with Mat, the principle of cosmic balance and inner harmony. In ancient China, Taoist sages observed nature with extraordinary precision. They noticed that everything alive moved through invisible currents. Rivers flowed, winds circulated, seasons transformed. The body itself mirrored these same patterns. They called this life force qi, an animating energy that could either move freely or become blocked through stress, fear, excess thought, and emotional imbalance. According to Taoist philosophy, most human suffering came not from a lack of energy, but from resistance to natural flow. A tree does not force itself to grow. The sun does not struggle to shine. Nature moves through alignment, not tension. But humans live differently. We cling, we overthink, we react constantly. And in doing so, we fracture our energy into thousands of scattered directions. The ancient yogic traditions of India described a similar understanding through the concept of prana, the vital force carried through breath, attention, and consciousness itself. Yogis believed the mind and energy were deeply connected. Wherever attention moved, energy followed. This idea appears again and again across esoteric traditions. Attention is power. Not metaphorically, literally. What you repeatedly focus on begins shaping your emotional state, your perception, your nervous system, and eventually your reality itself. This is why ancient initiates guarded their attention carefully. They understood something modern society profits from ignoring. Distracted people are energetically weak people. The modern world floods the senses constantly. Notifications, advertisements, endless information, emotional outrage, comparison, stimulation. Every distraction acts like a tiny leak in the human energy system. Imagine trying to fill a sacred vessel while cracks run through its surface. No matter how much water you pour in, it never remains full. That is the condition of most minds today. And yet the old teachings insisted that inner power could always be restored. Not through domination, not through force, but through recollection. The word recollection originally meant to gather again, to collect what has been scattered. This is precisely what spiritual awakening was understood in many ancient schools, the gathering back of fragmented attention, fragmented emotion, fragmented identity. The Hermetic traditions taught that the human being exists between worlds, part physical, part spiritual, part observer. The deeper self was often symbolized as a hidden sun obscured by clouds of illusion. The goal was not to become something new, but to remove what concealed the original essence. Even early mystics and desert monks discovered that silence itself could alter consciousness. Alone in caves, temples, forests, and deserts, they encountered a strange truth. When external noise decreases, internal perception increases. At first, silence feels uncomfortable because it exposes the turbulence within us. Thoughts become louder, emotions surface, restlessness appears. But beyond that turbulence lies another state entirely, a stable inner awareness, untouched by external chaos. Many traditions referred to this state as the center, the unmoving point within movement, the eye of the storm, the still axis around which all experience turns. And according to these ancient teachings, reconnecting with your inner power always begins the same way, not by seeking more from the outside world, but by returning to the center you never truly lost. So what exactly is inner power? Most people imagine it as confidence, charisma, motivation, or emotional strength. And while those can be expressions of inner power, they are not the source itself. Inner power is closer to coherence, a state in which your mind, emotions, attention, and energy stop pulling against one another and begin moving in the same direction. Imagine a magnifying glass beneath sunlight. Scattered sunlight warms the surface slightly, but when the rays become focused into a single point, they gain enough intensity to create fire. Human energy works the same way. Most people live in a state of energetic fragmentation. Their attention jumps constantly between fear, memory, anxiety, desire, distraction, and external validation. Every unresolved emotion pulls energy into the past. Every worry projects energy into the future. The result is exhaustion without understanding why. This is why someone can sleep 8 hours and still feel depleted. Their body rested, but their energy remained scattered. Ancient teachings often symbolize this condition as being asleep, not physically asleep, but spiritually unconscious, trapped in automatic reactions, emotional loops, and inherited patterns. Think about how many moments in life are lived mechanically. Someone criticizes you, and irritation appears instantly. You open your phone without even deciding to. A memory surfaces, and your entire emotional state changes. Anxiety imagines a future event, and your body reacts as if it is already happening. Who is truly in control during those moments? The mystics observed that most human beings are not directing their energy consciously. They are being directed by stimuli, like leaves blown by invisible winds. This is why the first step in awakening inner power is not adding something new, it is recovering awareness.
Awareness is the foundation of all transformation, because you cannot change what you cannot observe. Imagine standing inside a raging river. The current controls your movement completely, but the moment you step onto the shore, you can finally see the river clearly. Awareness is that step onto the shore. The moment you observe a thought without instantly becoming it, something extraordinary happens. A separation appears between you and the mental noise. This subtle separation is the beginning of inner mastery. Ancient meditation traditions trained this relentlessly, not to empty the mind completely, as many people misunderstand, but to stop identifying with every passing thought and emotion. Thoughts are movements within awareness. They are not the entirety of what you are. Picture the sky during a storm. Clouds move violently across it, thunder erupts, lightning flashes, yet the sky itself remains untouched. Your awareness is the sky. Your thoughts and emotions are the weather. Most people spend their lives trying to control the weather instead of discovering the sky. And this misunderstanding creates enormous suffering. The more you fight thoughts, the stronger they often become. The more you resist emotions, the more energy you unconsciously feed into them. Ancient teachings therefore emphasized observation before reaction. This principle appears in Zen Buddhism, Hermeticism, Stoicism, Taoism, and nearly every contemplative tradition. Energy flows where identification goes. If anger completely possesses your awareness, your energy strengthens anger. If fear dominates attention, your energy amplifies fear. But if awareness observes these states without feeding them, something unexpected occurs. The emotional charge begins dissolving naturally. This is why stillness is powerful. Not because nothing happens within stillness, but because stillness interrupts unconscious energy leakage. And modern life is designed almost perfectly to prevent this. Constant stimulation keeps awareness externally hooked. Endless scrolling, noise, emotional drama, and information overload trap the nervous system in continuous reaction. The mind becomes addicted to movement because silence begins feeling unfamiliar, even threatening. But silence is where energy reorganizes itself. Consider a shaken glass of muddy water. As long as movement continues, the water remains cloudy, but the moment the glass becomes still, the sediment slowly settles on its own. Clarity is not forced, it emerges through stillness. This is why some of the most powerful people you will ever encounter often appear calm, grounded, and deeply present. Their energy is not scattered across endless internal conflict. They have become internally centered, and that centered state changes everything. People feel it when they stand near you. Your words carry more weight. Your decisions become clearer. Your emotions stop dominating your perception. You begin acting intentionally rather than reactively. In ancient esoteric schools, this was sometimes called gathering the self, the process of calling your energy back from everything that unconsciously consumes it. And before any advanced spiritual practice could begin, initiates were first taught a simple truth: where your attention goes, your life force follows.
But here is where the path becomes paradoxical. The moment people begin seeking inner power, they often lose it again by chasing experiences instead of cultivating presence. They become obsessed with signs, mystical abilities, visions, secret knowledge, or dramatic spiritual states. They search endlessly for something extraordinary, while overlooking the subtle force already operating within them every moment. Ancient teachers warned about this repeatedly. Because true inner power is usually quiet, it does not always announce itself with fireworks or supernatural phenomena. More often, it appears as a profound stability beneath chaos, a deeper clarity within confusion, a growing ability to remain centered while the world pulls everyone else into reaction. Think of a mountain during a storm. The winds scream against it, snow falls, thunder crashes overhead, yet the mountain remains unmoved because its foundation extends far beneath the surface. Most people live like leaves in the wind. Inner power transforms you into the mountain. This transformation begins when you realize that energy is constantly shaped through three invisible forces: attention,
emotion, identification. These three forces act like channels directing the flow of consciousness itself. Attention determines where energy moves. Emotion amplifies the intensity of that energy. Identification locks you into the experience. For example, imagine someone insults you. The external event itself lasts only seconds, but then the mind replays it repeatedly. Emotion fuels the memory. Identification personalizes it. Hours later, the nervous system is still reacting to a moment that no longer exists. This is how humans unconsciously imprison themselves inside energetic loops. Ancient spiritual traditions understood this deeply. Some even taught that suffering persists not because of events themselves, but because consciousness continues feeding them long after they occur. In this sense, energy behaves almost like fire. A small spark only becomes dangerous when fuel is continuously added. Your attention is the fuel. This explains why two people can experience the same event but emerge completely differently. One becomes consumed by it for years, the other processes it, learns from it, and remains internally free. The difference is not merely personality, it is energetic relationship. Now here is the hidden secret many traditions hinted at. Your nervous system acts like an energetic tuning instrument. Every thought, emotion, environment, conversation, and habit subtly tunes your internal state toward either coherence or fragmentation. This is why certain places drain you instantly, why some people leave you exhausted after speaking with them, why endless negativity gradually weakens motivation, clarity, and intuition. Energy is contagious. Modern science observes pieces of this through emotional contagion, mirror neurons, stress regulation, and nervous system synchronization, but ancient mystics experienced it directly through awareness long before scientific language existed. They discovered that the human being is far more permeable than we assume. Most people imagine themselves as isolated individuals moving through a disconnected world, but esoteric teachings described life as an ocean of interconnected influence. Thoughts affect emotions, emotions affect the body affects perception, perception affects reality. Everything participates in everything else. And this is why protecting your energy does not mean isolating yourself from the world. It means learning not to absorb every current that passes through it. Picture a ship crossing the ocean. Water surrounding the ship is not dangerous by itself. The danger begins when water enters the vessel. Likewise, external chaos only dominates your inner state when unconscious identification allows it inside. This is where discernment becomes essential. Discernment is not judgment, it is energetic intelligence, the ability to sense what strengthens your awareness and what weakens it. Ancient initiates practiced this constantly. They observed which environments sharpened consciousness and which clouded it, which conversations nourished the spirit and which drained vitality, which habits created clarity and which scattered attention. Because every repeated action becomes a ritual shaping your energy. Even small, unconscious behaviors matter more than most people realize. Constant distraction weakens concentration. Emotional overreaction exhausts the nervous system. Endless comparison fractures self-worth. Compulsive stimulation dulls inner sensitivity. Over time, these patterns create internal noise so dense that intuition becomes almost impossible to hear. And intuition is another misunderstood aspect of inner power. It is not magical thinking, it is the natural intelligence that emerges when inner static decreases. Imagine trying to hear a whisper in the middle of a screaming crowd. Impossible. But when the noise fades, even subtle sounds become clear. Your deeper awareness functions the same way. The quieter the internal chaos becomes, the more perception expands. This is why ancient spiritual disciplines emphasized solitude, silence, breath awareness, fasting, contemplation, and focused attention. These practices were never meant as punishment, they were methods for reducing interference, methods for returning consciousness to its natural state. And gradually, something remarkable begins happening. You stop reacting instantly to everything around you. You become less emotionally manipulated. You notice hidden patterns in people and situations. Your presence gains weight without force. You begin feeling internally anchored instead of externally controlled. Not because you escaped the world, but because you stopped allowing the world to dictate your inner condition. This is the threshold where inner power truly begins awakening, not through domination of others, but through the restoration of sovereignty over yourself.
Understanding inner power intellectually is one thing. Experiencing it directly is something entirely different. Ancient teachings were never meant to remain abstract philosophy. They were systems of practice, methods designed to transform awareness through direct experience. And surprisingly, many of the first steps are simple. Not easy, but simple. Because the greatest obstacle was not complexity, it is consistency. The modern mind is addicted to stimulation. Silence feels uncomfortable, stillness feels unproductive, presence feels unfamiliar. Yet these are precisely the conditions where your natural energy begins returning to you. The first practice is deceptively small. 1. Reclaim your attention. For the next 7 days, begin observing where your attention goes throughout the day. Not judging, not forcing change immediately, simply observing. Notice how often your mind drifts into imagined scenarios, unnecessary worries, emotional replay, comparison, or compulsive distraction. This alone can become shocking. Most people discover they are barely directing their attention consciously at all. Ancient mystics understood that scattered attention creates scattered energy, so the first act of awakening is becoming aware of the leaks. A simple exercise. Several times per day, pause for 10 seconds and ask yourself, where is my energy right now? You will begin noticing how certain thoughts drain you instantly, while others create clarity and strength. Awareness itself starts gathering energy back to the center. 2. Practice conscious stillness. Every day, sit in complete silence for at least 5 minutes. No music, no phone, no stimulation. Just sit. At first, the mind may become louder than ever. Thoughts race. Restlessness appears unexpectedly. Many people assume they are failing. In reality, they are finally noticing the noise that was always there. Do not fight the thoughts. Observe them like clouds passing through the sky. Again and again, gently return awareness to the breath. This practice begins training a forgotten ability, the ability to remain present without reacting to every internal movement. Over time, the nervous system starts calming naturally, mental clarity increases, emotional impulses lose intensity, energy that was constantly leaking through unconscious thought begins stabilizing. 3. Protect your inner environment. Most people are extremely careful about what they eat, yet completely careless about what they consume mentally and emotionally. But conversations, media, environments, and social energy all affect consciousness. Pay attention to how your body feels after certain interactions. Do you feel expanded or depleted, clear or heavy, centered or scattered? Discernment is not fear of negativity, it is understanding resonance. You become similar to what you continuously expose yourself to. Ancient initiates guarded their inner environments because they understood that energy naturally synchronizes with repeated influence. This does not mean avoiding all difficulty or becoming emotionally detached from life. It means learning not to unconsciously absorb every emotional current surrounding you. 4. Breathe as if you were gathering yourself. Breath is one of the fastest ways to influence your internal state because it directly bridges body and mind. Try this simple exercise. Inhale slowly for 4 seconds. Hold gently for 4 seconds. Exhale for 6 seconds. As you breathe, imagine scattered energy returning toward the center of your body. Not forced, not dramatic, simply gathered. After several minutes, many people notice a subtle shift, increased calmness, sharper awareness, reduced emotional turbulence. The ancients often treated breath as sacred because they recognized something modern life forgets. The way you breathe reflects the way you live. Shallow, chaotic breathing often mirrors fragmented awareness. Slow, conscious breathing signals safety to the nervous system and restores energetic coherence. 5. Reduce unnecessary reaction. This may be the most powerful practice of all. For 1 week, experiment with delaying your reactions, not suppressing emotion, not pretending not to care, simply creating space before responding. When irritation appears, observe it first. When anxiety surfaces, breathe before acting. When conflict arises, resist the urge for immediate emotional discharge. Why? Because reaction is one of the fastest ways humans lose energy unconsciously. Every emotional impulse demanding instant expression pulls awareness outward. But when you remain conscious during the impulse, energy stops scattering automatically. You begin responding intentionally instead of mechanically, and this changes your entire energetic presence. At first, these practices may seem subtle, but ancient traditions understood a profound truth. Small, repeated actions reshape consciousness more deeply than rare, dramatic experiences. A river carves stone, not through force, but through consistency. And gradually, almost imperceptibly, you begin feeling different, more grounded, more clear, less easily disturbed, more connected to yourself, as if something ancient within you is slowly waking up again.
There's a reason ancient traditions guarded these teachings so carefully. Not because inner power belongs to a chosen few, but because a human being who truly reconnects with themselves becomes difficult to control. The modern world trains people to look outward endlessly. More validation, more distraction, more stimulation, more noise. But the deeper truths have always pointed inward, not toward escape from reality, but toward direct relationship with it. Because beneath the chaos of thought, beneath emotional turbulence, beneath the constant pressure of the external world, there is something within you that remains untouched, silent, aware, steady, and every moment of genuine stillness brings you closer to it. The journey of awakening inner power does not begin with mastering others. It begins with mastering your own attention, your own reactions, your own energy. That is the real initiation. Not becoming someone else, but remembering who you were before the world scattered your awareness in 1,000 directions. At first, the changes may seem small. You pause before reacting. You notice your thoughts more clearly. You become less affected by negativity. You begin protecting your attention instead of giving it away unconsciously. But over time, these small shifts accumulate into something profound. A different presence, a different nervous system, a different relationship with reality itself. You stop chasing energy from outside sources because you no longer feel internally empty. You become calmer without becoming passive, more aware without becoming detached, stronger without needing dominance. And perhaps most importantly, you begin realizing that inner power was never hidden from you. It was hidden beneath noise. So tonight, before you sleep, sit in silence for just a few moments. No distractions, no music, no endless stimulation. Simply observe. Observe the mind. Observe the breath. Observe the space beneath the thoughts. Because somewhere within that silence, the deeper self has been waiting patiently for you to return. And once you truly hear it, the awakening begins.